Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all, so, and I hope that you're all super duper wow, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious, and that life is treating you most deliciously. So what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's nearly 1:45 in the afternoon in our old England, my delicious little babies, okay? Now then, what is it that I want to say to you today? I hope that wherever you are in the world, that life is treating you most deliciously, okay? Now there's a little bit of sunshine, so the sun has got his hat on, hip 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 hooray. I will sing it because, it wants to stay out, it seems, for a time. We've got some not so very nice white fluffy clouds. We've got some blue sky, very light blue sky. A little bit chilly, tiny bit of wind, and that's the weather in our old Brummyland, in our old England, my delicious little babies now then. So I've got three little videos today, my delicious little babies. Of course, all on YouTube, okay? I'm going through the YouTube stage, okay? Now then, my delicious little babies. So, what have we got for you? And thank you so very much for any views, for any likes. I just won't mention any comments. Well, I've just mentioned it now, but because it's very rare that I ever, receive any comments, my delicious little babies. It's not something that I worry about, but it's very nice and kind, when somebody does send a comment, as long as it's not an idiotic one, you know what I mean? Because usually they'll get a comment straight back. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? Either in the comment section or on my video, how I'm speaking now, my delicious little babies. Let's twist again like they did last summer. Let's twist again like we did last year. Okay, my delicious babies, what year was that song? But most importantly, who's having a shuffle? Okay, my delicious babies now then. So the first one. Okay, I'll get to this one first. This video was uploaded 5 years ago. It happens to have 112,000 likes and 6.1 thousand comments. Okay, my delicious babies. Now, usually I do not write down, it's just amazing. There we are, how colossal it is with the likes and everything. If you look at these days, look at a lot of channels, they would not get not even a third, not even that. And even smaller than that, they just wouldn't get it. Okay, my delicious little babies, there we are. There's a point to everything I do, you see, okay? And I like to, there we are, point out things. There we are. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? That maybe others may miss, shall we say. You see there, it looks a bit like a rat's tail as well. I happen to love little rats, They only look for food just like anybody else, but I'm not talking about those little rats, my delicious little babies. Seems that there may be some, there we are, wanting to jump. There we are, shipping somewhere, my delicious little babies. There we are, we know that this is coming. Now then, my delicious little babies. So, this one here, my delicious little babies, is called, and sorry, I must just say, the uploader, this one, happens to have 969,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And this one is called, it's all in small writing, lowercase. This is the uploader, my delicious little baby. Should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, Hockel Lager. Sorry about this. Hockel Lager. Right. Hockel Lager. Hockel lager. Okay, Mardlish babies. No, it's not the lager that you drink, Mardlish babies. It's like lager is. Well, I presume it's a foreign name, isn't it, Mardlish babies? That's how it comes across to myself. It doesn't sound like, you know, Jones or Smith or anything, does it, Mardlish babies? So I'm just going to spell it out for you, okay? HOCHELAG for Gertie and A again. Okay, Mardlish babies, so I'll just spell it out for you again. HOCHELAG for Gertie and A again. That's the upload of Mardlish babies. And the video should say, and it's just over 4 minutes long, Mardlish babies. The oldest, then in brackets, known song of all time. So I'm not talking to any of our little beautifuls out there who already know this tune. I'm talking to our other little babies out there, little lovelies and beautifuls who do not know this. Okay, Mardlish babies. Now I'm pretty sure, there we are, that I have heard this before. But the way that this has been put in a very shorty video, okay, what they're basically saying is that this particular piece of music goes back to Syria. It was under another name, but in other words, it's called Syria now. Okay, Mardlish babies, and there's 2 different. It's the same piece of music. So the first one is, 1974. So he plays a tiny bit of that. It's interesting. When I was listening to the first part, that part that I've just mentioned, Mardlish babies, you can actually hear it, like the music in like other music that we know. Do you see what I mean, Mardlish babies? But then, what was the other one? Was it 1988 or 1998? And then somebody else, which of course he said is the most famous that ones would know, because millions and millions, there we are, have listened to this piece of music, Mardlish babies. And that sounds very much, well, yes, it sounds very much, well, you know, like Asian. There we are to myself, Mardlish babies. Nevertheless, I found both pieces very interesting to listen to. Okay, you're probably wondering, well, why am I mentioning this? Well, I'm going to mention this now to you because this has happened to come up on my feed today, on the 13th of December 2025. It's well worth a little listen to. You know, because if you look at it, music has changed, hasn't it? You know, over the decades, Mardlish babies, do you know what I mean? I know that in this video, you know, because it's just the uploader, you know, not in that way with anybody. But, of course, they go on, you know, 35, 40,000 years ago. The fact of the matter is, right at this point, nobody knows exactly, do they? So I tend to, there we are, throw that out to my noddle. He's only going by, there we are, what he has clearly read. Blessed, do you see what I mean, okay? Which, if you look at it with mankind, there we are, do we not all do this? I'm not talking to any dear little lovelies who very sadly cannot read or write. I do not mean it that way, okay? But for most of us, we would have read something or we would have watched something, wouldn't we? My delicious little babies, okay? So you're only going by what you have seen or what you have heard, if you're blessed to see, blessed to hear. Okay. Now then, the next one, Mardlish babies, this is just over 2 minutes long. And this one here, Mardlish babies, was uploaded 4 years ago. And this uploader happens to have 139,000, look at that, who liked the video. and then I happen to have 12,000 comments. Can you see the difference? There we are, Martlish Look Babies, what I'm saying to you. So it's very clear, isn't it? It doesn't take a rocket scientist or an Einstein to work out that over a certain length of time, how shall we just say, how, you know, if you're not chatting about what YouTube or, you know, to whom it may concern, sorry, excuse me, wants one, sorry, to put out, then those videos do not get looked at all. But then if they want to get a message across, there we are, then they do things differently, and then you have these type of numbers. There we are. Do you know what I mean, Martlish Babies? And I'm pretty sure that for most, you know, will know, there we are, exactly what I'm talking about, Martlish Babies, you know what I mean? Of course, that could be a bit of a trick as well. There we are. So it just came into my noddle. Could be a trick as well. Because no matter what's wrote down or what ones feel is this is the true year, 30 odd thousand years ago, 40, whatever it is, I have a very strong feeling that certain, there we are, videos are put out so that they can get all of the feedback. Because after all, to whom it may concern, or even the little lackeys or anything, well, nothing is their original thought, is it, Martlish Babies? You know what I mean? It's always off, there we are, the back of somebody else. You know, it's just a figure of speech, Martlish Babies. You see what I'm saying? Yes. So you imagine millions and millions listening, you know, to one particular little video or one particular piece of music. Do you follow? There we are. Do you follow what I'm saying now, Martlish Babies? Yes. Okay. Because it's amazing what you hear with your ears. I can hear many things. Like sometimes my ears will buzz if I hear a certain something. But for myself, there we are, that is spirit. And no, I mean, bless anybody who's got tinnitus, but I do not suffer with tinnitus. And may I be truly thankful and blessed for that. Because I know, because my dear stepdad had awful tinnitus when he come out of the army. You know what I mean? Martlish Babies, and he had it for decades. So, you know, we know all about the tinnitus, just like the thyroid, you know, which of course it is one of the most important glands in the whole of the body. And my beautiful dear little, how I love my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad, how I love my dear stepdad, bless him. Well, I've always said good morning to them. The fact of the matter is, you know, that's also very important as well, isn't it, Martlish Babies? But I noticed in the past few years, you know, bless the beautiful dear little souls, but there were many who were having their thyroid removed. Couldn't think why. Could we, Martlish Babies? Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. Anyway, so this one here, Martlish Babies. So this upload happens to have 204,000 subscribers. By the way, I have not looked at any other videos of these two uploaders that I am advertising today. I shall make a decision. I may look at another couple of videos with each, but you'll probably find that these, there we are one-offs. Okay, Martlish Babies. And this upload is called, right, okay, I'm going to have to spell it. Capital C, no spaces, capital R, then lower, is it apostrophe, and then a little s. Okay, Martlish Babies. So it's CR's space capital V video space capital V volts. Okay, Martlish Babies. Okay, and if you cannot find, so hang on one sec, please. Wait. So please and thank you. So if you cannot find, try putting an at, you know, one of these flipping ats, one of those Martlish Babies, please and thank you. Okay, and then you'll come to it. Okay, please and thank you. And this video should read, okay, with CR's video volts, spaces, a 107-year-old Irish farmer reflects on change, 1965. So this is just over 2 minutes long, my delicious little babies, okay? And this elderly man, bless him, okay, well, he will not be here now, but, you know, he was clearly born in the 1800s, my delicious little babies. And the first thing that he said was the machinery. I've been talking about mechanics and machinery, haven't I, my delicious little babies, anyway? Now, because he's very broad Irish, bless, you know, the dear elderly man, very broad Irish, okay? So you may have to, you know, listen to the little video, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, and then repeat the video again so you can catch what he's saying. Or I suppose you could put on the, what do they call them, these subtitles, so you can read, but even they can't catch up half the time. Okay, my delicious little babies. But yeah, well worth a little listen to that, my delicious little babies. Listen to that, sorry, that wasn't the correct English. My delicious little babies. Now, finally, so yeah, we'll tick these off. This is on YouTube. This upload happens to have 67.5 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies. And this one's called, this uploader, capital B, Billboard, so it's all one word, Billboard, space, capital C, Chris. So it should read, once tapped into spacebar, should, once again, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, Billboard, space, Chris. Now, sorry, excuse me. For some of you, my little beautifuls, you will already know this uploader, but for others of you, you may not. There we are, have seen this, there we are, before, but I've just scrolled past it, so do forgive me, but I have just scrolled past it, I've got to be honest, okay? I was too busy looking for other videos. Do you see what I mean? There we are, my delicious little babies, okay? This video should read just over 7 minutes long. Exposing the greatest lie ever told at the Europe Parliament. Yes, my delicious little babies. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Exposing the greatest lie ever told at the Europe Parliament. Yes, my delicious little babies. So what is all this about? So now we're going to close my book. Oh, 3, 2, 1, my juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Got to really remember, you know, to the right, isn't it, today? Okay, but I'm left-handed. Anyway, we are proud to be left-handed, my delicious little babies. Now then, so we need to go back to where we need to go back to, my delicious little babies. Okay, let's just put that to the right. Now then, a bit late putting my lights on, wasn't it, my delicious little babies? The lamp was doing it again, flashing on, and, you know, goes on for a bit, goes off, then goes on, then it stayed on this time. Directly opposite my flat, my delicious little babies. Heaven knows what they're up to. I've just no idea at this point. Mind you, I haven't tried to work it out, to be quite honest with you, my delicious little babies. I cannot be bothered to do it at the moment. Now then, so let's just quickly discuss. So what they're talking about is this transgender business, okay? And, well, basically, you know, what your man there's saying at the Parliament is that he spoke to many, and sorry, excuse me, I have had a bit of a cough actually as well. My delicious babies had to go and get some more vocal zone. Was it yesterday? Okay, my delicious little baby. So sorry about that. So I'm trying not to take, but I'm just trying to take, you know, a bit here and there. Do you understand what I mean? Okay, just the zone. Okay, just to keep it at bay. You know what I mean? So, and what he's basically saying is that he hasn't met anybody who can really truly answer any question of what transgender means. But what they are saying is that this is a colossal, there we are, abuse on our little babies now, our little bairns, who one's called children. You know, I prefer to call them little bairns, you know, because you've got to remember the ren on the end of chill. Ren, Do you see what I mean? My delicious little babies, anyway. And this talks about everything from being a tomboy to, well, it's true, isn't it? I mean, when I was growing up, I never used to like dresses. My delicious little babies, you know what I mean? I much prefer to be in a pair of jeans or a pair of shorts, climbing trees, playing, little tennis with others, playing on the park, jumping in the paddling pool, playing football with the lads, not in that way, not in that way. I prefer to be doing that. I still had longer hair, but you know what I mean? I just prefer doing that. So when I was younger, and I'm 52 now, and I'm still young now, my delicious little babies, okay? I'm talking about, when I was a wee little lass now, little Ben. Did that make me a transgender? Did it mean that my dear dad would need to take me to your not-so-friendly quacks, my delicious little babies, and say that, well, there's a problem with my daughter? No. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that you see it now. This has happened for decades. Not every little girl wants to dress in a frock or a skirt. Then you get other little girls where they're happy to do that. Okay? Just like, and this is another thing that your man there was saying in just over 7 minutes. He was talking about all of this. So if a young little lad now then wants to do cooking, baking with his mummy bear, well, does it make him a transgender? Do you see what I'm saying, my delicious little babies? Okay, what they've done, right? They've done a right, there we are, effing number. I have heard so many flipping, it's not stories. This is real life. I think one's need to, I feel sorry, because if you have to think in my definition of it, it means no. Because I feel that we need to get out of this, that we're reading a story or we're listening to a story. I've been guilty of it myself, my delicious little babies, and I'm still continuing, rolling, to deprogram myself. And it is a process. Like yesterday, I said around the world, I'm really trying my utmost to get myself out of the habit of saying, and it is difficult. There we are. It really is difficult, my delicious little babies. Do you know what I mean? To do, because you've got to remember it. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes? Anyway, that's just me personally, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so, well, the fact of the matter is, this has been going on a long time. Some little boys, and he made a very valid point, your man there, sorry, okay? Because I'm overrunning my tail, old-fashioned Irish saying, my delicious little babies. If you've got a lad there now, and he's been brought up with lots of sisters, or you've got the other way round, you know what I mean? Like you've got one sister and all the others are brothers. Do you know what I mean? Well, she's more likely, to be climbing trees, having a laugh and a joke, probably a bit of, you know what I mean? Play farting, and everything like this, you know what I mean? So, I mean, he never said that. That's what I'm saying, okay? Only because I've known ones, especially when you got brothers and sisters. Do you know what I mean, okay? But they've done a proper number because this is ruined. There we are. How many lives? It's ruined so many. And it must stop. My delicious little babies, it really, really, well and truly must stop for good. But I wanted to write that down. I've been listening, there we are, so much about this, my delicious little babies, okay, over whatever o'clock time, okay? And it's just so frustrating, but he's just done saying it there and then. There are other dear uploaders, there we are, who are equally the same. The way he says it, it's easy to understand, to get it across. There we are, ding, ding, dong, dong, so that everybody gets it into their noddle. Okay, but this is wrong. This is a direct attack, there we are, on our little bairns. And it has been, there we are, for decades. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? It's just really quite putrid how ones can have such a hatred towards little bairns. Do you see what I mean? But it seems that certain in the world do, don't they? Martylish little babies, so very sad. And my heart goes out. But I do not feel one bit sorry for any of these carers or mummies and daddies who quite happy to put their little bairns forward for these awful treatments, because they do not need treatment in the first place, Martylish little babies. You see what I mean? They're just trying to change, whether you're a little girl or a little boy. It's damn rank, man. It's disgusting now, finally, Martylish little babies, but well worth a little listen, okay? I'm not talking to anybody who talks about this all the time in the alternative media. I'm talking to anybody who's not listened to all of this, okay, Martylish little babies, but from time to time I do like to listen to a bit of what's going on with the Parliament, okay? Anyway, the European one. Okay, Martylish little babies. Now then, very lastly. So, I woke up this morning, okay? And, usually, there we are. I always wake up, really, there we are, happy. I do, Martylish little babies. I was like it from when I was little. If you was to ask my dear dad, if he was here right now, he'd say yes. I'd always wake up, there we are, really happy, full of beans. And he'd tell you that, crack of dawn. Do you see what I mean, Martylish little babies? Anyhow, so I got myself ready. Oh, the dear little elderly lady. She's so sweet, I made some carrot soup yesterday, Martylish little babies, with carrots peeled and chopped, full onion, whole onion, 4 long sticks of celery, salt, pepper, veg stock, okay? And then finished it off with, after it'd been blended in that and poured back in the saucepan, with just a few little spoons like this of tablespoons of not quite a tablespoon, you know what I mean, of cream. Okay, my delicious little babies, a beautiful soup again. I was dreaming about it. I was dreaming about carrot soup. And I was going to get up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I thought, no, I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I thought I'm going to make it. So I made it very early yesterday morning, waited for it to cool, and then put it in some plastic containers, banged it in the freezer, and then I've just dropped 2 up. I asked the dear elderly lady, she's, like I said, she's so sweet, and I said, would you like 1 or 2? It's all free of charge, Martylish little babies, because I make it anyway. I had a massive bowl full for my breakfast yesterday. So she said, oh, could I have 2, please, Carla? I said, of course you can. So I've dropped them up to her. And anyway, we exchanged cards and she gave me back my other plastic containers, okay? Because I do soups and sometimes, she'll have little scones that we make. You see what I mean? Anyway, Martylish little babies. So what am I talking about? So that was that. So I spoke to dear little elderly lady up the road. So she knew that I was in a good mood anyway. Mind you, so did the flipping buggies who can hear every word that I say. So they knew that I was in a pleasant mood. They could probably hear me coughing a bit, because like I said, I've got this bit of a cough. Okay, but there's others who have got it. I'm meeting others like, with chest infections, okay? So, anyway. So I'm walking down the road with my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday. My beautiful little Maisie Moo, she was also walking with us, okay? And sometimes, my little dear neighbours up the road, their little beautiful little baby chin, sometimes if she's out, okay, then she walks around with us, okay? Sometimes she's 2 or 3, 3 of them walking with myself, okay? And then I know this elderly woman. I'm never rude to my Martylish little babies. I was brought up to respect my elders, okay? I've always been pleasant every year, even though I do not celebrate the fake Crimbo. You know what I mean? That's just my choice. That's nothing against anybody else who love to celebrate, okay? My Martylish little babies, it's just... Anyway, that's another matter. That's, I've already explained. So... every year I send a card. I send a card to everybody, even though I do not celebrate it, okay? It's just because I did it, when I first came here, okay? Martylish babies, it's sort of stuck, if you know what I mean. And then she said, I said, good morning. I said, I hope that, your dear selves, well, I hope that your dear little babies, well, she was walking her little baby, and then she said, oh, yes, we're well, thank you. I said, well, I hope you and your family is well and that. And then she turned around, she said, well, I hope you're well. I said, thank you. She looked at my beautiful little Ruby Mardelicious little babies and she said, oh, she's putting on some weight. So I said, sorry, pardon. She said, well, she's putting on some weight. I said, so you've just said that to myself. And I said her name. I said, when I speak to you, I said, whenever I see you, I said, am I ever rude to you? And I mentioned her name again. She said, no. I said, am I ever rude or say anything about your family or your little baby who you've got with you now? Do I ever do that? She said, no. I said, so why are you saying that my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday is overweight? I said, my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday, I said, cannot speak for herself. So I am doing it for her. I said, it is actually what you have just said to myself is a form of bullying. There we are. I said, it is bullying for what you have done and said. And she went, well, I didn't. And I said, no. I said, I will not accept it. I said, you haven't got a right to speak to myself about my little baby like that. I said, I'm never rude to you. I'm never horrible to you at all. I said, if you do not wish to speak to me after what I've just said to you, I said, then that's fine by myself. I said, believe me on that one. I said, but I will not allow you to talk about my beautiful little baby Ruby like that. I said, do you understand now? Please and thank you. I said, I was brought up, I said, to respect my elders. I said, so on that note, I said, I'm going to wish you a very nice day. I just thought I'd let you know. And I carried on walking. And I thought for the first year ever, and I said it out loud, my delicious little baby's Kai. I said it out loud. I thought I did. As I said, for the first year ever, do not expect a flipping fake Crimbo card off me next year, because you flipping shall not be getting one. I've already posted that one days ago to her. But this is what I mean, my delicious little baby's Kai. Now, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that this woman, and I've got nothing against if somebody is overweight, if they're mediocre, or if they're as skinny as a rake. I mean, I am not slim myself, my delicious little babies, okay? But I'm pretty sure that she's not, do you know what I mean? A slim Jim herself. And that's not me being a bitch. I had the same thing where I used to live my delicious little babies with my beautiful dear little rescue called Asa, who I used to call AC. And I had it a few times with different, mankind. And, sorry, excuse me, my delicious little babies. And to be honest with you, let me tell you, they got a mouthful off me then as well. The one who said it to me, which the first ever one where I used to live years ago, my delicious little baby, she said, oh, look at you, she's overweight. And I said to her, do you know what I said? Because I was walking with my beautiful little Lacey, I used to take her everywhere with me, right? I said, before you go any further now, I said, have you took a look in the mirror at your damn self? And she was shocked. Just like your woman here now was shocked this morning. Except for, because she was elderly, I thought, Carla, curb your tongue, isn't it? Because I could have been, I could have been a lot worse, believe me on this. But I thought, no, she's elderly, okay? If she's got her own issues, let her. And I actually did say, by the way, my delicious babies, I said, and whatever your thoughts are, I never pointed at her because that's rude. I said, whatever your thoughts are, I said, in future, please keep them to yourself and thank you. And I said that to her as well. There we are, because I've just remembered that, right? But where I used to live, my delicious little babies, when I said it to you, a woman there, she was a woman. And when I said it to her, she got the shock of her laugh. And she went, you are? I said, you heard what I just said, isn't it? I said, why are you talking about my beautiful little AC? I said, has she done anything to you? And the thing was, when she said it, my beautiful little AC was really psychic. There we are, okay? She was really psychic, my little AC, okay? And the second that woman said, she looked up at me, little Acey, and she barked. She went, woof, woof, like that. She knew. So I turned around to the woman there and I said, my beautiful Acey cannot speak for herself. So again, I was doing, through this all again. I said, so I'm speaking for her. I said, have you looked in the damn mirror at your damn self? And she said, well, there's no need. Funny that, isn't it? Mads little baby. She said, well, there's no need for that. And I said, well, there's no need. I said, when I'm walking with my beautiful little baby as my little rescue, I said, I'm lucky to have her. You know what I mean? That she never went to a bad home, got there first. Okay? And I was very protective, like I am with all my beautiful little babies. I'm very protective. There we are, very protective indeed. Okay? Because they rely on us. My little babies. This is what all this is about. They rely on us. But you see the nasty tongue on some mankind. So why go and talk about a little animal? Why chatty about a little animal who cannot answer you back? It's bullying, man. There we are. That is what it is. It is damn well bullying, isn't it? So once I told your other woman there now then. Because she wasn't fully slim. No, she wasn't. So don't talk about my little baby, who was damn well slimmer than her damn self. I said, come on, my beautiful little Acey. And from that day, it'd be a rarity I'd ever say good morning to the woman, or good afternoon, or good evening. I'd rather walk past her. Do you know what I mean? Keep her damn tongue to herself. He certainly shut her up anyway. He shut her trap, you know what I mean? Just like the other woman there this morning. And it was on that same bloody road where I used to live, okay, where I used to walk beautiful little Acey. There was another one, but she was as skinny as a rake. And, she used to order her husband around, here, there and everywhere. He just done, she said jump, he said how high, but, she never really loved him. She told me herself she only flipping married him because, you know what I mean, the love of her life couldn't be bothered with her. Do you know what I mean? Left her. Well, I'm highly delighted with her flipping damn attitude the way she was, okay? I think she was into journalism, I do believe. Anyway, my delicious little babies, and then she said it, and I was really on one. Because I thought, what is this? National Day for picking on my bloody beautiful little Acey. You know what I mean? Or National Week, rather. So I said, what's your problem? Because I know I'm not going to say their names. I said, what's your problem? I was polite. I said, good morning. She said, have you taken a... Now, if you would have seen my beautiful little Acey, anybody would tell you. She was nothing like what these were saying. Nothing at all. So, anyway, she said, well, I'm just... And I said, no. I said, you see you. I said, you can be... And I did point to this one. I said, you see you. I said, you can have a sharp tongue, isn't it? I said, there we are. I said, too sharp for your own good. I said, now I suggest, I said, you do not say anything more to me. I said, otherwise, I said, I'll just walk past you like a pane of glass. I said, do you understand what I'm saying? I said, my little baby cannot speak for herself. My beautiful little Acey. She went, well, I didn't want to be. I said, I'm sick of it. I said, if it is not yourself, it is somebody else. I said, all on the same road. I said, what is the problem with this road? I said, and what is the problem with your damn selves? I said, I'm going to walk now. I said, goodbye. I was getting really cheesed off. My delicious babies. On that road, by the way, my delicious babies, where I used to walk, used to be a large orphanage, because it's called Orphanage Road. It wasn't a road that I was living on. It's just when I used to walk all different places. Okay? I think, was it knocked down in 1964? Why would they knock that building down, my delicious little babies? You see what I mean? Orphanage. And then I suppose then it goes into children's homes, there we are, suppose, doesn't it, my delicious little babies, okay? Just same thing, there we are, just another name, maybe. Okay, my delicious little babies. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. But no, I woke up grand. I'm glad that I said what I got to say, and I'm glad what I got to say in my camera as well. My delicious babies, I feel nowhere. Not when it comes to my beautiful little babies now. But do you see, there we are, the wickedness of some kind. Your woman there this morning, she says she's concerned about my baby's health. She's concerned about my baby's health. Now, I could have said to your woman there now then, long time back, because I did try giving her a warning about this. And because she's an ex-school teacher, well, that says it all, doesn't it, my delicious little babies, for some. You do have a few of the teachers who have a bit of common sense, but not many. And then she turned around and she was telling me that I'm in the wrong. And that everything that she's had, you know, that these so-called doctors, you're not so friendly, quacks and everything have been so good to her. I said, okay. But she was quite blatant to tell me, you know, a few years back, Martha, she says, well, you're wrong, I don't want to hear it. She was very firm, like a proper teacher. Martha, little babies, okay? Until she soon find out, isn't it the truth? You don't hear a word out of trap now, do you see what I mean, Martha, little babies? No. So at the end of the day, no, I could have said a lot more. It's only for the fact she was elderly, Martha, little babies. I thought, Carla, just shut your trap. Because you say something else now, then the woman's going to go home blarting like a titty lala. Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's what I've got to say. My delicious little babies, and I talk about anybody out there, anybody who talks about our beautiful little babies like this now, then no matter who they are, nobody's got a right to come up to somebody else and to insult our beautiful little babies who cannot speak for themselves. It is, there we are, a form of bullying. And I do not give a shout what anyone tells me. That is what it is. What, so you've got things going on in your own life and it gives you the right to take it out on somebody else and their little baby. There we are, because that's basically what it is. No matter how you dress it up in pink and yellow, and red little birds. Well, damn rank, man. And she'd be very, very lucky, there we are, if I ever speak to her damn well again. Because right at this moment in time, my delicious babies, I'm not very forgiving. I'm really not, you know, feeling the vibe. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Not when you cross me like that. No, I'm not having it. Okay, my delicious babies anyway. And anybody else out there who has their beautiful little babies should equally, there we are, stick up and defend their beautiful little babies like how I do. I do not give a damn who it is. I told her that this was. I couldn't give a damn who it is. You know what I mean? Do not talk to myself about my baby like that. I'm done telling it the way it is. Job done. You know what I mean? So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves, your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. How I love you all so. Thank you once again so very much for listening, for any likes, for any views. But no, some would say, oh, you know, figure of speech, not in physical terms. You cut your nose off to spite your birth rates. No, I do not. Because I live on my own with my little babies. Who, there we are, I happen to adore my little babies. Okay, sometimes little Ruby has a little bark, do you know what I mean? But she has to bark. But, you know, so I can hear you, little Rubes. Do you understand what I mean? But, you know, but the fact of the matter is they're my beautiful little babies. Nothing's ever going to change that. I mean, please do not get me wrong. I cannot be affording to be feeding all these little pussycats now. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, let's face it, charity begins at home. If I could give them a bit if they're passing, then I will, you know, give a bit of food to little babies. But other than that, you know, charity begins at home, and that's not me being wicked. I've fed plenty of flipping pussycats and everything, and animals, you know, and everything, you know, in my decades, you know, believe me on that one. Do you see what I mean, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, some mankind, there we are, can be damn well wicked. But they never look into their own damn selves, do they? They never look at themselves to say, well, okay, what can I change? What could I do that's different, there we are, to what I'm doing? But they do not. They just want to criticise. Do you see what I mean? And pick on, there we are, the innocent. And there's nothing wrong with my beautiful little Ruby Tuesday, nothing wrong with her at all. I was very offended. There we are, I still am offended. And if anybody said it to me, I would continue to be bloody damn well offended. But that's his society, but this has gone on for decades, my delicious little babies. Some like to walk around, there we are, or roll around like their own flipping shark doesn't stink. Well, everybody's shark stinks, my delicious little babies. Believe me on that one. Okay, so how I love you also. You just take care now. I know that some of you may have thought I was rambling. No, I'm not rambling. There we are. I'm just calling it out. There we are for what it is. And to be perfectly honest, I'd rather not speak to the woman again at this point. Okay? Do not even want to entertain. Okay? I'm an alien. I'm a legal alien. I'm an Englishman in New York. Whoa. Love ya. Take care. Thank you for listening. Goodbye. Remember the amber. Bye-bye.